everybody. How's it going? Welcome to Read, Return, Repeat. I'm your co-host, Daniel Pewewardy, and with the lovely
Jenny Durham, adult enrichment librarian.
And the ever amazing and also lovely.
Yeah, like I said, you can also call me lovely.
Lovely.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Well, everyone's lovely. All the people on the podcast are lovely.
I'm Ian Bailey. I'm also with Adult Literacies.
Awesome. And I am Daniel Pewewardy. I said that already, but I'm the inspiration librarian, also with Adult Literacies. And we're talking about a very adult literary art form today. Comic books and graphic novels.
And they are not just for kids.
No.
Some of them are very much not for kids.
No, I'm thinking of Mouse immediately.
Yeah, we should dive right into Mouse.
Yeah, just jump right into Mouse.
Real quick.
I've been reading Absolute Superman. It's by Jason Aaron, who's from like Overland Park, and he's very true to Kansas. And like he kept putting Smallville in like north of the Flint Hills, which would put it like closer to Topeka. Mm-hmm. But then in the Battle of Kansas, you kind of figure out it's Hutchinson. Support your local comic book store. Support all local bookstores. We've done a couple things. We've had some donations from Wizards Asylum downtown. That's a good one. And there's also Prairie Dog.
I was going to say, I used to live really close to Prairie Dog Comics. They're really cool too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's really cool because I kind of got back into comics, and all the comic shop guys, there's no rivalry. Like there's nothing. It's very like, because it's like, you know, like not every comic is going to get, every store is going to get everything. So like when you have 3 stores, the only one that everyone kind of like doesn't tend to like is the chain, the mall, vintage stock, mm-hmm. but they're not local, so I don't feel bad about being like, it's hit or miss there. So.
I kind of go there for like films and stuff, but like old used DVDs, but not. Yeah, I kind of prefer to go to comic book
Honestly,
shop.
I think I'm cool with throwing smoke at vintage stock because I think they did Blind Date with the book. Yeah.
How dare they?
Yeah.
That's
like
our thing.
They got into, like, because of the romantasy thing, they did get into, like, selling books now. And it's like they have the, like, book display. I was like, no.
It's small, though. I was there a while back. They don't have that many books. And it's like when you go to Target.
I mean, like, I'm not complaining about more people having books, but I do go, like, all right, let me get a katana and a copy of War and Peace.
Yeah. I'm going to swing by Third Planet after this.
A place where you can buy swords and novels. Maybe that's actually the bookstore that needs to exist. Anyway, we're talking about comic books. So do we want to just jump into it?
Let's just jump
into it. What is a comic book? Hey, and we're off to the races. We're talking. We got Ian here, and Ian's normally not like. Do you want to like? Should we talk to Ian?
Well,
He's been on the show before.
Yeah, I've been on the show. I usually do sort of behind the scenes stuff. I was on the round table that we did about mental health.
Yes.
2 seasons ago.
Couple years ago at this point.
And then before that, when we used to have short story submissions,
You were the voice.
Yeah, I would narrate those. Those were really fun.
Keep submitting those. I haven't gotten any in a while.
It's been a minute since we've got some good submissions.
Yeah.
So,
keep submitting those. So have anything new going on in your world? You reading it what's any changes since you last been on the podcast?
So about 2 years ago or
yeah,
so.
Yeah.
I mean it's been interesting
Cool.
times.
Interesting times. Yeah.
Interesting times. Just sort of yeah.
And you've been doing a lot of learning circles and community writing stuff too.
Yeah. A lot of events, learning circles. I just finished one up on poetry as part of our Poetry Month.
Yeah, shout out to everyone involved with Poetry Month.
Yeah.
It was great April because like I did a cat poetry program and people loved it.
Yeah, we always get really, really good turnouts for poetry programs, which is really cool. I think partially just because normally all the poetry is hidden in the 800s and just nobody knows where it is.
Yeah.
So,
that would be it is kind of funny that You could. It's funny when you hit it because you'll see just like
A
all
bunch
these,
of
like,
tiny little books.
Also,
Yeah.
poetry books have the best covers.
They do, yeah. All the displays I do, I mostly just pull back by the covers.
I know, like, oh, this is pretty.
Yeah. Hope
And
it's good.
speaking of cool covers, I have a stack of comic books here that I will bring out to talk about. And for example, here's New Mutants 98. These are all reprints. They're not very as valuable as the originals, but for reference, I got some of these, and we'll
I
talk.
love the ones with the
Yeah.
neat little foil,
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, they got the foil. Yeah, I need more foil covers in my life.
Yeah.
I love it. So I don't know how that shows up on camera, but
Well, we wanted to start off with some fun facts
fun facts about comic books. Yeah,
because I thought some of them were kind of cool.
yeah.
Well, actually, let's first start with the first time the term comic book was used was in 1897.
Wow, I didn't know it went that far back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
though they
interesting.
kind of existed before then, but as far as the actual term comic book in the way that we would think about it now,
Yeah, and I know that early comic books were just kind of like collected editions of comic strips. And comic
Mhm.
strips used to be like a big part of the newspaper. And it was kind of like now they're mostly just comic, funny little 3 square panels. But before they would tell serialized stuff and
Mhm.
Flash
Yeah.
Gordon and stuff like that. So
and when they did the books, they would like collect a lot of those news strips into like a book.
yeah. And
Um,
they were huge also. Like they were
Mhm.
like, yeah, like like Time Life. Magazines used to be that big. And
yeah.
yeah, and we'll talk about like the different comic book sizes and everything.
Yeah.
So
Another thing that's kind of interesting, I actually knew this one already. Superman did not always fly.
no, he didn't. No, actually, I don't have it here.
Like one of the
But-
original Supermans, he would just leap between buildings, and I thought it was interesting. I did not know the reason why they made him fly.
Superman #1.
It was because for the illustrators, the comic book artists, when they, I don't know if it was, I think it was when they started animating him. It was too much work to have to constantly like draw all these separate panels
Mhm.
to have him jump, and it was easier and less work on them to have him fly.
Yeah, just one pose. One
Yeah.
pose. to
So
do.
this
Which
is
I thought
famous-
was really, really
famous one.
interesting.
This is like I didn't know that about I love the Max Fleischer animated. Some of the best animation Max Fleischer was doing, and Disney stole it. But I mean, we can go into that some other time. But yeah, so this is actually they reprinted this is Superman #1, which came out in 1939, I believe, and they reprint the origin as it was in Action Comics #1. And I will read it. So this is kind of like how limited Superman's powers are. As the lad grew older, he learned his delight that he could hurdle skyscrapers, leap an eighth of a mile, raise tremendous weights, run faster than a streamlined train, and nothing less than a bursting shell could penetrate his skin. And then there's a little panel, and it's like the doctor's like, "What is this? This is a 6 hypodermic
so he
needle."
was actually like leaping onto a
Yeah.
building there.
Yeah, he's not flying. And the thing too I noticed is that they said like nothing less than a bursting shell, which I think is like that means like heavier arms, like a drone would just
Yeah.
take out a 19 like an atom bomb would probably like destroy him.
Yeah, like-
Oppenheimer.
Lex Luthor's new secret weapon is just a cannon. Shoots at Superman.
Cannon arms.
Armor piercing bullets. Anyway,
Another fun fact, Bill Finger, who co-created Batman with Bob Kane, was not officially recognized for his contributions until 2015, and he died in poverty in 1974, despite having created many of Batman's most iconic elements, including the Batmobile, Gotham City, and numerous villains.
yeah, Bob Kane was like notorious for taking all the credit. And like way I've heard it, like listening like history of Batman, it was kind of like Batman was like a committee. There was like a group of people in a boardroom, and they were like coming up. It was him, Bill Finger, and a couple other people that got no credit, but it was like Batman kind of like they came up with the idea. It wasn't just one guy, and he
Mhm.
kind of took all the credit.
I'm glad he eventually got recognition. It's just kind of sad that it was like 40 years
Yeah.
after his death.
There's actually continuing legal battles with the rights to Superman and Superboy because of the Bill Finger family and stuff. The last judgment, I looked this up for a patron recently. The last judgment on that case was like 2014. So it's like still going on. Like,
Yeah, I'd never heard of this guy. I'd always had, heard Bob Kane. Yeah, the Batman guy, Bob Kane. It's like Stan Lee, the Spider-Man guy,
Yeah.
correction. I was thinking of the Simon and Schuster lawsuit, not the Bill Finger one. I'm not sure it's good.
Oh,
The Simon
okay.
and Schuster, the Superman also had some credit issues, and those families have been arguing since.
Yeah,
as
there's a
recent.
lot of drama within the comic book company, especially like with the superhero comic.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
we'll probably
so much
talk about
drama.
Alan Moore at some point.
Probably.
He loves a big two.
This fun fact I thought was really interesting. During World War II, the U.S. military used comic-style technical manuals to teach soldiers about equipment maintenance and safety procedures. Will Eisner, we know that name, creator of The Spirit, was instrumental in developing these educational comics.
Yeah, he also the first like some have said that he's like the first graphic novel author because he was the first person. But yeah, that's interesting to think that like comic book artists were like teaching people how to use like Claymore mines and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. And if you've read a lot of those like 40s era comics, there's so much like propaganda in them, for lack of a better term, and very like a lot of talk about war and World War II and anti-Nazi, which I'm not saying that that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
But it's just really interesting. It tells you a lot about what was going on in the world at the time.
I've been trying to read 40s era comics, and I will say you have to like approach them like you've not read or heard anything before. I read the first like appearance of Batman recently, and it ends like you don't know who Batman is the whole time. And I want a movie like this. I want someone to make a movie where it's like you follow Bruce Wayne around, and there's also like Batman around, but you don't say like because it's a teaser at the end. You were like at the end of I think it's Action Comics 27 or whatever, or Detective Comics 27. Like Batman opens up his little closet, or Bruce Wayne opens up his little closet. You see the Bat outfit. You're like,
Oh my god.
Bruce Wayne's Batman? I didn't know that. And I'm like, if I like made a Batman movie, I would just pretend like if you made, can you imagine that? Like you go to see the new Batman movie and like they never acknowledge that Bruce Wayne is Batman until the very end. It's like people would be so mad. It's like but you do have to like when you read like Superman, you're like, oh my god, that guy can jump a 10-story building. What? And he can leap an eighth of a mile.
Yeah.
Which I feel like that's not that far.
An eighth of a mile?
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't jump it, that's for sure.
But I feel like leaping an eighth of a mile, I feel like Usain Bolt could still beat
How
him.
tall of
like,
a
going straight.
building is that?
Because like air, I don't know, I'm not a scientist.
Okay, last fun fact. The underground comics movement, and that's COMIX. The underground comics movement of the 60s and 70s, led by artists like Robert Crumb, revolutionized the medium. They tackled adult themes and controversial subjects.
Yeah, you have
Which pretty much was like the predecessor of a lot of our modern graphic novels.
And like zines in general, too.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
it was
There was
it was like politically motivated or, trying to comment on some aspects of society. A lot of text a lot of times too.
good documentary about that era is there's a couple on Canopy. I'm not sure if the Crumb documentary is on Canopy about Robert Crumb.
I think it is. I think
Yeah,
it's
I was
But I know
wondering about
Comics
that.
Confidential, which is like a documentary that was made in the 80s about the underground comic scene going on at the time. That one is on Canopy. So they interview like the Love and Rockets guy, Robert Crumb and stuff.
Yeah. Like, I think that's just kind of interesting to kind of note that because a lot of people think superhero when they think comics, which does make up a big part of the landscape, but there's so much more,
I
which
think
is what we were going to kind of talk about.
I think it's interesting how the comic format is like well received in other countries like Japan and like certain parts of Europe that and it's just kind of like it's another passive form of media where we've kind of juvenilized it now where it's like a kids thing or just like an adults with Arrested Development thing or whatever. But like, yeah, it's kind of it's just another media format. It's like, I don't know. I find like there's a level of purity in reading a comic book that I enjoy.
My kind of personal theory about why it's not taken as seriously, I think it's really just because we're used to growing up with, Sunday comics, and they're all, for the most part, not that great.
Yeah, I mean,
you can't, look me in the eye and tell me Family Circus is funny.
I'm coming around. I'm coming around. That's the thing. I feel like there was kind of like a lot of Garfield hate in the like 2000s, and then like
Garfield was great.
Yeah,
I
I feel like Garfield
kid. I
became
love
like
Garfield.
Garfield. Like honestly, other than like people make fun of Garfield, but like look who he's surrounded by. He's got like Family Circus, which is corny, and then it's like
that was one of the few like Sunday comics that I really enjoyed. Was the Garfield ones.
Dennis the Menace, local hero, was Dennis Menace is based out of Wichita, Kansas.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I don't think I knew that.
I haven't seen a comic sheet in forever. I have no idea what it looks like now. But I can actually go look in the newspaper downstairs. Yeah.
I feel like with a lot of the comics being kind of not taken seriously is also very much like an American cultural thing. Because also see that when you compare animation, like because there'll be this like Japanese animated series or movies, and then you had parents getting upset that their kids watched it, and it was so obviously not intended for children. Because they're seeing things like, oh, well, it's cartoons, like it's for kids. And we kind of saw that a little bit too when you first started seeing those very adult-centric cartoons in the 90s, like Ren and Stimpy is a really great example where people were like, why would you do this? This is not a kid's show. Well, it's not supposed to be.
I think who knows? I'm sure there's a big reason comic books kind of did become juvenilized in America was because of the Red Scare. There was a book published in the early 1950s called Seduction of the Innocent by Peter Wortham. Maybe Dr. Wortham is a psychologist, and he like linked he basically kind of linked comic books to juvenile delinquency. And at the time, actually, hold on real quick. Keep talking.
There was a whole decency thing too around that time where comic book creators like Stan Lee, and I don't know if Jack Kirby was involved in it, where they were having to prove in court like their, whether their comics were leading to delinquency.
Yeah,
and I think they were trying to sanitize a lot of what was going on in the comics.
So I grab a visual, but 1950s, EC Comics, who we know mostly from Mad Comics, they were making a lot of like horror and like you had like comic titles like Weird Fantasy and Shock Suspense Stories. You guys could take a look. Feel free. These are just old reprints. But the crime books actually were like notorious for like we have a copy of Seduction of the Innocent in our like special collections. I was looking at it and they kind of have the excerpts, and the guy basically says that like kids are using these to learn how to do crimes, which is the whole like argument about video games and everything that we've kind of seen in the 90s going forward. But like because like of the like increased pressure coming from Congress and like courts, the comic book publishers, the big two, which we're supposed to talk about next, developed the Comic Code Authority.
Yeah.
Which And then so going forward for almost like 50 years, you would see like a little stamp on the comic and it says approved by the Comics Code Authority, which was a non-governmental censorship agency.
There's a whole documentary about that.
Yeah.
That goes into those, court challenges and stuff.
It's very interesting. And there's like still court challenges.
Mhm.
Someone recently got obscenity charges because they like handed out comic books at trick or treat. And this is like last year in like Pennsylvania. And like they did not check to see what was in the comics. And some of them were like, because they bought a random box of comics, not knowing. And some of them did have nudity in them. And I guess like they're now facing obscenity charges.
Oh, yikes.
Because they were just giving them to children, which I don't know about Pennsylvania, but it's like definitely illegal. That's why like Playboys had to have like plastic covers.
Yeah.
Was because of like there's obscenity and then there's like exposing children to obscenity. They're like two separate laws, but that's actually like part of the censorship. And that's why if you're in a grocery store and you're selling a book with objective content, you have to like, put in a plastic bag.
I wonder if that's why we're kind of getting into manga, but there's certain types of manga that like are a little racier.
There's racier manga, you
Racier
say.
manga.
Would not have
I
survived the
never
code.
would have thought
The
of that.
one that thinks of is called Yaoi, I think, and it's two men. And those ones, when they were in the store, they usually had to have them packaged, like sealed, and then I think you couldn't even see the cover. Like they would put like, I don't know, a piece of cardboard or something on the cover. That's how you knew that there was stuff in there that was not appropriate.
And speaking of manga, I know that I guess what's happening with American comic publishers. Let's talk about let's
talk about the major publishers.
Let's talk about the major publishers, but I want to talk about how comic books are kind of like we'll talk about the like formats, the various formats. But let's talk about the big publishers because we're talking about censorship.
Mhm.
And so for the longest time, it kind of got narrowed down through monopolies because there were several comic book publishers, but like through various monopoly, like when DC absorbed like Charleston Comics, they absorbed like I forgot the name of like Captain Marvel, but they absorbed that. They even absorbed EC Comics, which did Mad Magazine, and then Marvel absorbed Timely and some other ones, and they kind of just like so like the movie Watchmen is based off of the Charleston characters, which like originally like Alan Moore was going to reinvent, but then they decided not to let him use it. So Peacemaker is actually supposed to be the comedian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and the Captain Atom is supposed to be Dr. It's like so he like basically had to redraw them.
Yeah, the DC and Marvel, but particularly DC, how they kind of evolved as a company gets so confusing because, there were all these like mini companies in like the 30s and 40s. And but I actually did not realize that DC actually was like the initials of Detective Comics.
Yeah. Detective Comics.
That was,
and I felt incredibly stupid, like, oh my gosh.
Don't feel stupid. I did that too.
How did I not know
that? It's really funny on early Detective Comics. On early, like, they put, they remind people, it's funny because they go like, Detective Comics, a Superman book. And it's kind of weird because it's like, they started like a shared universe, which is very important in comic books. Like all the you have a shared universe because people were like, they wanted to make sure it was like kind of like an authenticity thing. Like if you want to read the real Superman, and Wiz Comics was the ones that did Captain Marvel, and like so it was like all these like knockoffs came out after Superman. And like we can get into like the archetypes of superheroes and how there's all different ones. There's like the detective, there's a science hero and stuff. Like very Alan Moore-esque, but I'll save you guys the details.
But like right now we have like the two big comic book ones are obviously DC and Marvel, but we have a lot of others too, like
Image. Image is a big indie producer.
Dark Horse
as well. We start getting tricky in the other ones. I know that Image is creator owned. So like it's important to notice if you work on a Marvel or DC book and you create stuff for it, like you get paid and there's contracts and stuff, but you don't own it.
Mhm.
But like I know with like Image and to a lesser extent other of the indie companies, they're creator owned, meaning like we're just publishing your story for right now, but like
But you own the
Yeah, you can take
intellectual
this.
property or whatever.
yeah, like
A couple other ones that I ran across that are big is IDW.
I don't know what it stands for.
I have no idea what it stands for either.
In
They've done the Star
Dreams.
Trek comics and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is currently being published by IDW, and
Boom Studios is another one.
Yeah.
That has done Adventure Time. They did the they did Power Rangers.
a lot of so like a lot of the smaller ones, licensing is kind of how they make their bread and butter, and so they'll still do like creative own so like Boom created Something Is Killing the Children. James Tynion's kind of like a hot horror writer right now, and they're publishing that, and then Image is actually doing like as a lot different stuff. Robert Kirkman is the head of creative now, who created The Walking Dead.
Yep.
So
Yeah. A lot of the ones I really enjoy were done by Image Comics because I was actually looking through some of my favorites earlier to figure out who did each of them. And like I really like The Wicked and the Divine.
yes,
So
I love
good.
that's really good.
So
It's-
good. That one's done by Image, and also Rat Queens, which they don't do anymore. There was like some type of weird legal thing, so they stopped making that one. But that was also under.
I
Image.
like the first volume of that.
Rat
yeah.
Queens was really good.
Rat Queens, if you like Dungeons and Dragons and like role play, fantasy role playing.
Yeah.
You got any indie books you like?
Indie, yeah. I mean, back in the day, I was Dark Horse was
Yeah.
what I was sort of most familiar with, mostly because at least 90s, early 2000s. That's who were publishing all the Star Wars comics. I was
Yeah.
big into those as a kid. But yeah, I just found like weird stuff from them. I recently read the comic that was adapted into Snowpiercer, the movie Snowpiercer, which is
Oh, that's
fantastic.
cool. Yeah.
Um,
That was a manga, right? Or a Korean manga.
yeah. That one's really good. I think one of my first like indie comics that I read was this series called Teenagers from Mars, and I actually found it here at the library when I was a kid.
Oh, that's cool.
And it kind of snuck up on me because I thought it was going to be like I was probably like 13 or 14. I was like, oh, it's like cool, like it's about aliens or whatever. And it's not. It's about a guy who is a comic book artist, struggling comic book artist who lives in a small town, and basically everybody in the town gets very upset with his art and tries to ban comic books. And it's like,
that's wild.
it's really more of a story about censorship and banning comics, and they end up starting kind of as a joke a paramilitary group, the Comic Book Liberation Army.
Oh my god.
Starts as a
funny.
joke, and then they're like, oh, we could also maybe do a little bit of crime as well,
Yeah, comic titles sometimes are misleading. Like Black Hole has nothing to do with space. It's all about teenagers in the 70s. They all get like I forgot the guy's name that did Black Hole, but it's like it's just a story about teenagers in the 70s, and there is a sci-fi element. There's an STD that turns you into a mutant that they all pass around.
Oh, of
each
course,
other.
yeah.
But nothing to do with space or traveling through wormholes and time dilation. So, but
So those are like the big
companies.
We want to talk a little bit about how they're organized.
Yeah. So American comic books generally are written from, is it left to right? So you start left, you go right, and then top to the bottom. And then how detailed do we need to get in?
We don't have to like get super detailed, like, because you'll either see like your single issues, or you'll have them collected, and this is where we're talking about. Graphic novels,
collected. So
'cause
there's like graphic novels.
these have like, this was the DC Bombshells, and I want to say they'll usually tell you which
Like
issues.
it's 4 to 6 issues.
Yeah, it'll say like collecting issues 1 through 6 or whatever. I just can't see on here which one it says, but you'll see a lot of these, which you could get the single issues, but
Yeah, single issues. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, seeing. I think I got back. I used to do graphic novels only, and I got back into single issue collecting. The other type. So we have single issues, we have graphic novels, and the other type is omnibuses, which I'm not a fan of these because they're kind of hard to read.
They are. Yeah.
Like,
they are.
yeah.
And someone told me I need to get a reading desk, and yeah. So, but yeah, they're typically anywhere between like 20 to 40 comics in one book, and they're like heavy. But if you want everything, it's like they're good for reference. Like, yeah. So
Yeah, and if you want like more of a shelf trophy, I guess.
one more thing though, before we go to break, I will say is that American comic book companies are getting into the smaller digest format now because of manga.
Really?
And like people are eating them up. Like,
I
and
have
they're cheaper.
noticed that.
So like a graphic novel used to be about $20. That's how much like a paperback graphic novel costs.
Mhm.
And now they sell $10 graphic novels that are condensed and printed on like cheaper paper. And I guess like people, it's starting to pick up like to the level of like more people are getting into.
Well, and you have the
because of
whole
that.
digital ones too, because
Yeah.
you can. I've not gotten as much into reading them digitally. I do still like the tactile.
Yeah, it's tough.
Like,
It's tough to do it like that.
even though I have done it in the past, it certainly saves space on your shelves.
Yeah.
And I used to really like Comixology, but then they got purchased by Amazon.
There's a
So then I
yeah.
don't want to use them anymore.
There's finally like a decent competitor. I love Comixology before the Amazon buyout, and Global Comics is what I've been using, and they have a lot of free stuff if you pay like $6 a month, and then you can buy comics from there. But let's take a break.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a break, and then we'll get back and we'll talk about diversity in comics and also comic book conventions. So, thank you. You're listening to Read, Return, Repeat. How's it going? And we're back, and we're talking about comic books.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about our favorites.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's talk about our favorites. Do you want to start?
I mean,
You have
I'll
a
start.
lot.
I can
Yeah.
start. I'll really start. I brought this one.
Zoot the Lord.
Yeah. Yes, French. Yeah. No, but yeah, the Tintin comics. I read these at a very, very early age. It was really, I would say, like the first comic that I read that wasn't, you know,
Superhero types.
yeah, or like a comic strip or whatever.
Mhm.
Super, super good. Very like, I mean, they are aimed more towards kids, but I'll reread them every once in a while. I think they still hold up. But yeah, they were from a Belgian cartoonist, Herge. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce that, but Herge is the best I can
Oh
do.
my God, European comic artists have the coolest names like Mobius, Hersh.
Yeah. Plus he had the single name.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it's basically about a teenage reporter and his dog who sort of you know, almost like Indiana Jones style
Yeah.
globe-trotting mysteries.
And they're like functional alcoholic best friend.
Yes, they're functional alcoholic best friend. It was written in the 30s and 40s, so things have not
Yeah.
aged super great.
Wasn't they? Weren't they originally French?
Belgian French.
Belgian,
Same
yeah.
Oh, okay.
thing. I mean,
Well,
like,
I meant
yeah.
like in French.
Yeah, they
'Cause
were. Yeah, they
speak
were.
French in Belgium,
What-
parts of Belgium.
Yeah.
My favorite part of that movie, it's okay. So they did a Tintin movie, and I actually like. It's funny because it's the guy that did like Polar Express, and like everyone talks about the dead eyes and stuff. So like when he made this, like the Tintin already has dead eyes, so it
Yeah.
kind of worked. Like, but Daniel Craig, James Bond, actually plays. I forgot the name of Otto or something. The guy, the captain.
Oh, Captain Haddock.
Captain
Yeah,
Haddock,
Captain Haddock,
and
yeah.
he's like a drunk sailor, but
Yeah.
there's like their plane's going down and they're out of gas, so he like burps into the gas tank,
Yeah.
and it like has enough alcohol in it for the engine to take off. I was like, that's great. That's great. Totally like inappropriate for the times, but that's
a lot of jokes that would not fly today. A lot of like cultural stuff that would not fly today. Definitely a product of its time. It's good. It's fun. I also I found him here at the library when I was a kid in the children's room.
I feel Tintin was always one of those like school appropriate ones because you can learn about the world through it. Like all school libraries used to have Tintin. Yeah. And what was it? Obelix and Asterix, which was
those are also French, long running French comics. Yeah. That was sort of like kind of what my introduction into comics as a kid, and then moving completely in the opposite end of the direction as far as content goes. Just recently, I started reading "Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees," which this was actually your copy that you loaned to me.
I was like, you want to talk about it?
But no, it's fantastic. It's
okay, so if you like, so we talked about Mouse, and for those that don't, I mean, I'm assuming people that listen to this know about Mouse, but
I think people are aware of Mouse.
It's a story about the Holocaust told through animals.
Yes,
and so it's kind of like a Disneyfication for something very terrible, which honestly kind of works sometimes because you're like, okay, I'm looking at like gross human violence, but it's mice, so I can stomach it better.
Yeah,
and it actually is a very cool convention for telling a story by using like animal furry characters.
And it's really interesting because how they have it is, I want to say the Nazis were cats.
Nazis were cats, yeah.
The Jewish people
were mice.
But then they had a specific, like, another race for, like, Polish people or something.
I think they're pigs.
Like pigs?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's really interesting to kind of put it in that perspective by having that distance between humans and
I think Beneath the Trees, I don't think that in that world there's like a racialized component to the animals.
No, it's definitely not. I mean, it's fairly violent, but it's not as like heavy in themes as Mouse. It's really it's a world where everyone's an animal and kind of living together in harmony and everything. And the main character is a bear who is also sort of a Dexter-style vigilante serial killer.
Yeah.
Who kind of is living her life very, very safely. Not killing anybody where she lives, but then suddenly, all of a sudden, this other serial killer sort of pops up and sort of threatens her whole way of life, and so she has to figure out who it is. And it's violent, it's cute, it's a very weird comic, but it's fun. It's a lot more fun than Mouse, I will say.
Sounds like something I'd want to read.
And then the ones that I just grabbed, I grabbed Uber, which is it's sort of more steampunk, diesel punk, but it kind of it's sort of like the inverse of Watchmen. Instead of us having developing superheroes to fight wars, it's what if the Nazis had a super soldier superhero program, and all the horrible things that comes from that. Fairly dark as well, but it's very, very steampunk, very diesel punk. And then I know this is a lot of people have read this. I read this fairly recently. I was late to the party. But Why the Last Man?
That's classic. It's like a new classic. Brian K. Vaughan, who is wrote it, that's his like first big break, and I like it a lot.
Yeah, if you like Walking Dead or any of the sort of popular like post-apocalyptic comics, I think you'll like Why.
And if you like Wicked and Divine Jenny, you should check out Saga, which is
Saga's good.
Saga is like I hope they turn that into a movie or something. Saga's actually really cool.
Yeah, that's definitely one I'm surprised I haven't read yet because it's on my radar.
Yeah. That's cool. Thanks for sharing, Ian.
yeah.
What was the one on the bottom again?
Oh,
Harleen.
Yeah, and this is also, you mentioned that, but this is a more recent one. This came out a few years ago, but it's kind of a reboot of Harley Quinn's character.
Oh, that's cool.
It's called Harleen. It's very good. It also sort of one of the very frustrating things for me about the Harley Quinn character is how tied to the Joker she is a lot of the time, and is sort of just, oh yeah, Joker's girlfriend or whatever. The character I think has gotten better
They have
over
moved,
time, but
it's really funny because DC like saw the pushback about
Trying to romanticize the abusive
The toxic
relationship.
relationship.
Yeah.
and so they kind of gave like other writers to kind of like develop the Harley Quinn character and move her away from the Joker and kind of become her own thing. And they're like, the Joker still needs a girlfriend. And so they created a character called Punchline, who is the new Joker's new
Oh
girlfriend.
my gosh.
And she has healthier boundaries.
I
good.
kind of like the newer Harley Quinn. Like they did a newer Harley Quinn series and then they turned it into an animated series. But there's been a thing with her in Poison Ivy.
Yep.
And I'm here
Um,
for it.
Yeah.
Because Poison Ivy is one of my favorite characters.
This is like one of the first Harley Quinn comics. It's Batman Adventures Mad Love special. And Mad Love. You find out about how in love she is with a complete sociopath.
Yeah, the Harley Quinn show, I really like. I think so.
It's
A couple
good.
seasons.
Yeah, it's really good. Though.
And I love the spinoff, Kite Man.
Kite Man.
Bane on the Harley Quinn show is so funny.
Yes! I do
He's
Bane
so different from every other like iteration of Bane I've ever seen.
Oh my god.
And what was it, like Sharkman? Or
King Shark.
King Shark.
Yeah, King Shark.
I couldn't remember his name. He's hilarious too. Like
I can't think of the name of the comedian, but he was on this show that was only one season, and it had like one of the girls from like it was about a company that existed in the DC universe, and it was the guy that plays Resident Alien, and he's like Bruce Wayne's cousin, and he has this company. Like Powerless.
Powerless.
It was like a NBC sitcom, and the guy that does King Shark, I can't think of the comedian's name, but he's a character. And on the show, he's from Atlantis. He's like half Atlantean and stuff. And they like, there's this whole episode about cultural sensitivity with Atlanteans and stuff. Like, it's called Powerless. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere, but it's really good.
Is it live action or animated?
Live action.
Oh.
I wouldn't be surprised if the people that worked on Powerless ended up starting Harley Quinn, but Alan Tudyk is like the main character.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he's
Okay.
like Bruce Wayne's cousin who like is very like trying to impress his richer cousin and stuff. And this is like this part of Wayne. But I that was like one of my favorite like comic book TV shows for a second. Yeah. And what do we got for
My recommendations, a few of them I don't have here, so I'll talk about these first since I physically have them. Obviously, Wicked and Divine that I mentioned already, and Rat Queens are like my two favorites. We kind of went over Rat Queens. It's kind of like D&D, but like with just mostly these 3 or 4 women. But Wicked and Divine is like these deities come back every
the Pantheon.
the Pantheon. Like it has all these different like I want to say Aphrodite is like a pop star.
And they're all kind of based off actual pop stars. Like one looks like Rihanna and
Yeah.
like David Bowie. There's like a David Bowie type.
But every 90 years they take on like a mortal form, but they're only alive for 2 years. So
and then
there's this it's hard to describe, but it's so great. So I want to mention that, but I'll mention a few more after I go over these. I have DC Bombshells. So this was just the DC ladies done in a very kind of retro.
Does it take place in like the 40s?
I believe so. It's actually been a minute since I've read these, so I don't remember a lot of the storylines from them. I do remember that I went to Planet Comic Con when these were huge. So I have a whole shot glass collection of DC bombshells.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I didn't think to bring him with here. Another one, I actually mentioned this in the last episode, Lore Olympus. And
Oh,
it
cool.
was a web comic. This was obviously the collected issues, but they basically collected them into actual graphic novel volumes. But this is basically a retelling of the Hades and Persephone myth. But I don't remember if they modernize it or not. I think they kind of do, because I think he has like a nightclub or something, if I remember correctly.
Speaking of webcomics, Perry Bible Fellowship is probably my favorite webcomic. And like I got very lucky because like they did one hardcover and like our copy like went to the bookstore because the binding was kind of loose and like I got it and I was like so happy because I love that webcomic. But shout out to the Friends of the Library Bookstore for hooking it up.
Yeah.
The last one I have here is actually a true graphic novel, because it is a novel in graphic form, and it's called Flung Out of Space, inspired by the indecent adventures of Patricia Highsmith, who was, if anybody is not familiar with Patricia Highsmith, she was a well-known writer, largely from the 50s and 60s. She's probably most well-known for The Talented Mr. Ripley.
Yeah.
Okay.
But she also wrote The Price of Salt, which was turned into the movie Carol. So very like out lesbian writer as well. So this was kind of like a kind of loosely based off of her life as a writer, but it's kind of a reimagining, even though the character is Patricia in here. So it's set during, I think, the 50s and 60s, and kind of just goes over her experiences trying to get published.
Is it an adaptation of a book or is it just
No,
just-
it's like a original work that was just inspired.
I think we're
by
getting into
her.
like this interesting territory with this, which there are like these graphic novels like that feel more like books but illustrated. But also what I'm noticing now is like graphic novel adaptations, and not like adapting public domain stuff like Treasure Island or whatever, but like
No.
there is now this like direct, like it's kind of, I think it's kind of how like Japanese publishers do it too. Like it's like, all right, you know when you get a movie like a writing deal, and
Let's
it's like
make a
the book's great, let's do a graphic novel adaptation. And I love that because I can't read a physical book. I have to audiobook. An audiobook takes me 2 weeks, but I could knock out a graphic novel in like an
There
hour.
are a lot of them. Some of them are really good. The Kindred one. Is
Yeah, I was gonna
really
say
good.
the Parable of the Sour Lady. Yeah, Kindred.
Yeah, that one was really good. There's a lot of different ones. But also there's somewhere I'm like, I don't know how that would really work as a graphic novel. Like when it's like this big and the book was much bigger. There's two more I want to give a shout out to. One of them is called Once in Future, and it was written by Kieran Gillen,
Kieran Gillen.
who also does a lot of other stuff. He's one of my favorite comic book creators. And that one was kind of like King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, like come back to life or something.
Yeah, they kind
Like-
of, yeah, it's a very interesting concept of
It's
like
Very unique.
well, James Tinian talked. It's kind of the same thing in like Department of Truth, where it's like because enough people believe it, it becomes true and stuff, and like the fiction becomes a reality, which is very like meta.
Mm-hmm.
But I love stories like that.
Yeah, and there's like zombies or something in it. That's another one that I read like a few years ago, and so I don't remember a lot of the details. I'd have to reread it.
Kieran Gillen did this one. I just finished it called Die, and it's about these kids that play this like role playing game and get transported to a magical world that exists, and like they leave one of their friends back there, and then they live their lives or whatever, and then like they kind of find out that the game exists. It's a weird time parallel thing that like basically the Bronte sisters get involved and Tolkien or show up as
Oh,
characters. And
That
like,
sounds really interesting.
yeah, it's called Die, and I think they're doing like a sequel to it. But the first Die by Kieran Gillen is kind of the modern equivalent of like Alan Moore and Grant Morrison as like a weird occult author. So
Yeah, I noticed that a lot of the comics and graphic novels that I read are done by him.
Yeah.
So I definitely have a pattern of types that I like to read. The last one's actually a manga, but I want to note it because it's so funny. And it is called Saint Young Men by Hikaru Nakamura. And it's a reimagining if Jesus and the Buddha were roommates in Tokyo. And it's so good.
That's really cool. Yeah.
And it's done like, I feel like in a, well, okay, this is me speaking as someone who's not super religious, so I wasn't offended by it. But I feel like objectively it wasn't done in an offensive manner to
Yeah.
either Buddhism or Christianity. Like, but they do bring in like concepts from both religions, but it's wholesome but funny. And apparently it was this big like cult classic in Japan and was finally released in English like a couple of years ago. And
that's cool.
so fast I checked that one out. It's so good. I love it.
So of the two, who is the worst roommate?
Honestly, if I remember correctly, I think it might have been Jesus.
Mhm.
You didn't take the trash out or did it?
Yeah.
But they are just, I don't know. It's so funny, but in like a wholesome kind of way. And there definitely is like some they're very innocent.
Mhm.
Like they wind up in these situations that where they're so innocent and clueless, and you're sitting there going, "Oh my gosh." Like, "Oh, they don't get it." But it's so funny. Like I would say,
What was that one called again?
Saint Young Men.
Saint Youngman. That's a
Yeah.
that's a really cool name.
Like,
Yeah.
even the name is so funny, but yeah, it's hilarious. I would check it out. It's great.
I guess I'll talk about some of the books I like. And
Yeah. Did you bring enough?
shut
There
up.
was some more.
I grabbed some recent stuff that I've been reading. I'm a big fan. I'll break it down by like artists or writers because I'm a big fan of writers and ignore the Ollie sticker. But did you guys see the new Superman movie?
Yeah.
Tom King is actually kind of my favorite DC author right now, and he's a little backstory. He's formerly like a CIA agent, and he got into comics. And Strange Adventures is about Adam Strange, who's like a Flash Gordon knockoff,
Mhm.
and he basically writes his like war stories because he basically gets magically transported to this planet where he has to fight in adventures and stuff, kind of like Flash Gordon. And like, so he like helps save a war, he stops a war, and then he comes back and he writes memoirs, and people are like saying it's all false and stuff. So like Mr. Terrific from the Superman movies is really awesome, cool character. Like this is more his book than actually that guy. And his job is like he's been tasked to investigate the authenticity of his war accounts.
Mhm.
And it just goes from there. And it's very like Tom King also did like a Rorschach book, but it's very like the premise starts and then it just kind of goes from there and develops and stuff. I love Tom King. Another good Tom King book is Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. I will say like this is kind of a spoiler, but Crypto doesn't die. He's never injured. They do mislead you for the whole thing that Crypto is going to die. But so I started reading it. That's not a bad spoiler. You can tell people
No,
the dog lives.
I
right?
think that is an important thing for some people to know is if the dog
like,
dies or
there's
not.
Yeah.
a whole website devoted to
And
that.
I'm really worried because there's a movie coming out. I was like, I hope they just got rid of that. No one wants to see
Like,
Crypto almost dying. Like,
yeah, no.
But this is a really cool story, and it's kind of about she's basically following a warlord, and she's trying to stop this warlord because he can like, and she's has like a victim of the warlord with her that's kind of witnessing the violence. Again, it starts off like a simple like quest, and then the book starts talking about like life and death and war and stuff, and like coming from a guy that was like heavily involved in the Iraq War, you can kind of like tell that a lot of what he's writing about is his own experiences, which is I think pretty cool. And I'll be short, but so that's Tom King, and I'm just gonna break it down by different authors. So like Dennis Camp, this is a new book by him, and it's called Bleeding Hearts, and it's about a zombie whose heart starts beating. and he starts not wanting to eat humans anymore, and he finds 2 humans that he's trying to keep from the other zombies, and it's pretty good. And Dennis Camp is a newer DC author, and then he also did Absolute Martian Manhunter, which the Absolute Universe, if you don't know, is this Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman. They all take place in a universe that Darkseid is basically God.
Mm.
And so he's basically created this universe where the stories, like Superman in this one isn't rich. Only his dad died. So he was raised by a single mother in like a working class neighborhood. Or that's Batman. Sorry, Batman. Superman actually doesn't get to Earth until he's like an adult in this one. So he's already kind of has like opinions about humanity. And so you find out like all the characters. And Wonder Woman, your favorite, was raised in hell by Circe.
Oh yeah.
And Themyscira got raped. In this one, Martian Manhunter is just like a guy named John, and like his Martian identity has been suppressed to being basically like mental illness to him.
Mm.
He doesn't like, and so like you see like through it, like this giant alien follows around that's like a figment of his imaginations. Basically, all his alien identity has become like an alternate personality, in that he's not aware that he's actually Martian. It's very honestly, I don't know if I didn't pay that much attention to Absolute Martian Manhunter. It's kind of heady. Sometimes these comics get really heady, like they're hard to follow. But that's a start. And then if you like this, Robert Kirkman, who created Walking Dead, has 2 books out right now. And Skinbreaker is like a weird alien fantasy, and it's about these like tribes on this foreign planet, and it's kind of like this. It's like one guy in the tribe is he like. Basically, they're all about the old ways versus the new ways. Like the new tribal leaders want to develop like traps to catch the animals that try to hunt them, and then it's like no brute force or whatever. But this is the artwork for this is like really cool because it's done by David Finch.
Oh yeah,
who is like notoriously like really detailed for like pencil work, and so like this one's really good. And then if you like Invincible and you watch the show, there's a Battle Beast series now. And it's about Battle Beast. And he's just basically on a quest to get killed. Because you find out through Battle Beast's origin that Battle Beast basically like united his planet in peace. But the Battle Beast motivation is kind of silly. But like Battle Beast basically united his planet in peace. But because of all the wars he fought, he has like an addiction to bloodlust. And he didn't want to torment his planet anymore. So he exiled himself from his planet. And now he's seeking someone to fight him to the death. He's just looking for a worthy opponent. It's very simple. It reminds me of Conan the Barbarian. It's very like Space Conan.
See, that needs to be the next. So you know how they're constantly doing crossovers with like Predator?
Yeah.
That's the next Predator crossover.
Dude, I think Battle Beast would like rip into Predator. I don't see that happening. I don't see that ending well for him. So, yeah, Battle Beast goes hard. Actually, there's a lot of Predator crossovers. I could talk about the Predator for a while. I did a Spider-Man versus Predator, and I didn't really. I feel like Spider-Man's gonna win because he's Spider-Man, but I don't think he could actually win. I don't think Spider-Man would actually win against the Predator.
Yeah.
Or you want to weigh in on that fight, Kyle?
I feel like maybe he'd win, but he'd be really messed up.
Yeah, Kraven the Hunter is like more of a guy. But this is turning into a weird podcast that we're talking about power rankings. Like, can Superman beat Goku?
Oh, that could be its own episode. We want to talk a little bit about.
I don't think Superman would beat Goku. I think they would just be friends.
Did we want to talk a little bit about like some of the criticisms?
Yeah, we could talk about the lack of
comics?
diversity in comics. I think if that's I mean, I think when I'm looking at all these comics, it's a lot of white guys.
Yeah, I think the big thing, because it does seem to be slowly getting better, but I think we need more writers of comics that, you know, come from different groups and are more than just white men. Like, yeah, there's some great white men that are comic book creators and artists, but like, I think when you have more diverse, they're going to be telling more diverse stories. In recent years, one that I really enjoyed was, and I don't remember who wrote it, but I'm pretty sure it was written by a woman. Maybe, I don't know if it was Gail Simone or not. but it was Ms. Marvel that was a
The
younger,
Kamala
so,
Khan. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's not the other one, Marvel or whatever, the older one, which I think was Miss Marvel. I can't remember.
There's Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel is what I'm
And
thinking of.
then
Yeah, Carol.
Yeah.
Carol.
I can
Dan-
break this
Yeah.
down real quick. All right. So there's Captain Marvel, Billy Batson, also known as Shazam. That's DC. That's over here. Captain Marvel and Marvel Universe is like the commander of the captain of the Kree Empire.
Carol Danvers.
Carol Danvers is Captain Marvel's
Marvel.
was Captain Marvel's girlfriend, and then she became Miss Marvel, and then she became Captain Marvel. And now she's Captain Marvel, and the original Captain Marvel actually died of cancer. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, that's why I get the two confused, because there was a DC element, but I was more familiar with the Marvel Universe one. But yeah, Ms. Marvel is younger. It was Kamala Khan, who is, I wanted to say she was Pakistani American. But I mean, she was one of the first comic book characters that was like openly Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
And, Middle Eastern.
Yeah, it's
like and they made a TV show.
We did
out
a
of
comic book readers theater of that. We used actually volunteers from the Islamic Center and had it was a lot of fun. We did that 10 years ago.
Yeah,
That's
that one's
forever.
really good, and there is a little less of the wildly impractical clothing that you would see on some of the women. Though I will admit, I really love Red Sonja, and she was probably like the best example of like classic misogyny.
Jenny, you hypocrite.
Because she has like
Can't
the
believe
little
you.
like bikini, like with
Wasn't it like metal too?
It was
like
like
a metal.
dragon scale red bikini, but she also like kicked butt big time.
I will
and
say-
so I ignored the fact that she was wearing wildly impractical clothing to be fighting.
I will say you could put practical armor on, but if I see Conan in anything, if I ever see Conan the Barbarian in pants, I'm gonna be mad. Unless it's
Just
like
not right.
That
really
is
cool.
true.
Conan doesn't. Yeah, just leave that dude. Just needs a pair of underoos or whatever. Like,
Honestly, maybe that's why I give Red Sonja a pass, because like she wasn't Conan, and Conan was also just as skimpily
Yeah.
clad as she was. So
it just doesn't seem practical at all, especially when there's no antibiotics. Like you get one cut, you're done.
Yeah.
I will say one of my favorite women artists right now is Hannah Rose May. She's working at IDW and she's doing a lot of horror. The movie Smile. She wrote this. This is Exorcism at 1600 Penn, and they're currently this is out. You can get the graphic novel of this, and it's basically about the president whose daughter becomes possessed by a demon. Because like there was an artifact that was kind of left at the White House as a gift that was like possessed and it possesses her. And now they're doing the exorcism. They're doing the exorcism at Buckingham, which is about kind of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it also shared universe because like the prime minister calls the president from the previous volume for advice and stuff. And so that's called and so Hannah Rose May and the movie Smile, the horror film. She's also writing the comic book adaptation of that. So
That could be a good one.
Oh,
I think I watched part of Smile and wasn't that into it, but I
Yeah.
could see that as like a graphic novel being really interesting.
yeah, it kind of reminds me of Junji Ito.
Yeah.
Kind of like Junji Ito style horror.
Yeah.
Yeah, which honestly, if we're gonna get Junji
That's
Ito,
a whole rabbit hole.
Oh,
I love
man.
Junji Ito.
yeah, Junji Ito is. I mean, we can't really talk about him in diverse because everyone in Japan's Japanese. It's like
I mean, from an American
from an American's perspective.
maybe. Do we want to kind of close out by talking a little bit about like comic book conventions? I feel like we can't like have a comic book episode without mentioning.
Have you guys been to a
Comic-Con.
Have you been to a comic book convention?
I have not. I would love to go at some point, but I haven't had the opportunity to.
I've been to Planet Comic Con in Kansas City. I've technically been to. There's like a mini one out here too, but
Emerald City.
the
is that what that
Emerald
is? Yeah.
City Comic Con, but it's not like comparable to like a bit, and not to throw shade at it. It's just like not really like what a
Planet
comic.
Comic-Con is like
Yeah.
massive. It's one of the largest in the country now, I think.
Yeah, that one
And,
was huge, and
I like a tiny Comic-Con.
yeah, I don't remember what I went. I think I've been to like 2 of them. But the cool thing about like the last time I was at Planet Comic Con was like shortly before Stan Lee passed, and he did a panel, and I went and saw Stan Lee in person. So I did not
That's
like
awesome.
wait in line to meet him or anything. I didn't care. I'm like, I am standing in the same room as Stan Lee. I am happy. That is, yep, everything is complete. It was great.
I would say like I like all Comic Cons. I've been going to like Comic Con since I was a teenager, and like it's really cool. I don't really care for the celebrities as much anymore. I like to do creators. I always take a sketchbook. I have a sketchbook I've been working on. I should have brought it since like 2012, and I just basically like get comic book artists to sketch. And some of them, like the dude that did Long Halloween, like he died. The artist died. I think Tim Sale. And I have a sketch from him in there.
Nice.
And like it's been cool. It's been like a thing I kind of stopped doing it for like 10 years, but I picked it up recently. And I love there's all kinds of smaller Comic Cons. Hutchinson has Salina, all these places. One thing I did realize recently, I was like parking in Delano. I won't say where it at, but there was like close to work. I was parking to eat my lunch, and I saw like all these guys I knew from comic book collecting walking up, and then I see like a table this like parking driveway, and there's always like it's like a garage sale, and I guess it was called Garage Con, and all these like local comic book guys basically set up like it was like a swap meet kind of for comic books.
Oh my god!
I didn't even know about it. I was like, "What is this?" And I saw like a little like yard sign that says Garage Con, and I went, and it was like someone had a comic book convention at their house that they like basically was open like a garage sale. It was like a garage sale. But it was a comic book convention.
We
and
should totally do that here.
I was just thinking that too.
library.
that would be like totally,
Yeah.
I would love to do
Like,
something like that.
That would be so much fun. No, the best part of going to comic book conventions actually is getting a chance to talk with the artists. Like, and that's actually when I like to purchase art too, because you're getting to purchase the art from the person that made it, like
Yeah.
directly. And it's just really cool, and like you totally make their year by just being like, I love your stuff, you're amazing. Like it's really cool.
It's funny because I know like sometimes like even like you'll ask for a sketch from a writer and they'll do a sketch, and I have a couple from writers and they're not good. So it's like
Well, that's why they're writers. That's why they're writers.
They just jot a quick paragraph.
But
for you.
some of them are actually they do like because they have to storyboard and stuff, so it's like they still know how to do a little bit, but it's like it's fun, it's cool. Like I think Andy Parks is more a notorious writer than an artist, but he has like a picture of Captain America he drew that was pretty good.
Just totally make sure when you go to wear good shoes.
Yeah, and stay hydrated.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I think we're at the end of the show. And this was a fun episode talking about comics.
Now I have like way more comics to add to my to read list.
Yeah.
And we'll have all of the stuff that was mentioned today. We will have on our show notes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that like if you missed something, just check those out. And a lot of them do have at the library.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you could also recommend an item and stuff if there's something you want to read. Yeah. And this was a fun episode. So thank you for being on here, Ian. We'll definitely have you back.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And I think this is make sure you listen, check us out, follow us on social media. We're on YouTube. You can listen to us on Spotify or wherever you get podcasts.
Apple Podcasts. If you go to, you can also listen to it straight from our website. If you go to wichitalibrary.org/podcast. And if you want to drop us a line, just send us a message.
And still, like, we're still looking into the shirt thing. I do not have an update on that yet, but we'll keep you posted. And check out wichitalibrary.org for events, and you can look up books there. And come check us out. Just come say hey.
Follow us on social media too.
Yeah.
We have Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Read,
Return,
Repeat.
Repeat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.